Hello and welcome to BBC World News. Rescue crews have been racing to find survivors after the floods that wreaked havoc in Western Germany and its neighbours. 153 people are so far known to have died across Europe, 133 of them alone in Germany. Hundreds of people remain unaccounted for. Thousands are now homeless. Thousands of residents of Wassenberg, an area west of the German city of Cologne, have been evacuated after a dam was breached by floodwater overnight. German officials say the country's flood warning system functioned as it was supposed to, but the amount of rain it fell was unforeseen. Let's cross live now to my colleague Kasia Madeira, who is in Erftstadt in Germany. Kasia.
James, Erftstadt is one of those towns that was deeply affected on a number of levels. There was a quarry that collapsed, sucking in lots of earth around it. And also, as you can see, the destruction on this bypass of the town, completely flooded. Water's now receding, but we're finally just getting an indication of the scope of the destruction. Throughout the whole day today, the army and rescue services have been trying to move a number of trucks and just trying to ascertain what happened here when this immense body of water flooded this region. With so many people still unaccounted for, there is an awful lot of concern about what is happening, and the recovery operation is only just beginning. Now, authorities have been asking us to be very careful because it is an active, live recovery situation here. The officials have also been speaking out about the support that they are trying to offer local residents as well, because of so much destruction, houses collapsed and houses that are unstable. And like I say, water still causing a lot of concern and a lot of havoc here. The president of the country was visiting the fire services up in Erftstadt in the town a little bit earlier on, speaking about how difficult it's been and how much support the whole nation is offering to those people. He's been talking about, he initially said that he was absolutely stunned by what had happened here. If you bear in mind that within the space of just a couple of days, just over 24 hours, 2 months worth of rain came down overnight. So people are really having it very, very difficult. So this particular state of Germany is one of those hugely affected. We're in North Rhine-Westphalia. My colleague Damien McGuinness is in the neighbouring state, which has also been affected, and there are now volunteers, Damien, where you are rallying together, trying to show support and very essential supplies for the people that have lost so much, Damien.
That's right, Kasia. So I'm, as you say, in the neighbouring state of Rhineland-Palatinate, also one of the two states which has been most severely affected by the flooding. And as you say, I'm in a donation centre. Now, usually these large halls are run by a company which runs a legendary, world-famous Formula One racing track. But the company has diverted all its resources to helping those victims of the flooding, because as we know now, countless numbers of people have been left homeless or have had everything wiped out. They've lost everything. So behind me, you can see hundreds of volunteers. They're sorting through donations that have been passed on here to by local people. And there's a very complex operation now being set up, which is to distribute all these donations. So I can see bedding, I can see household equipment, there's food, there's drink, there's even cat food next to me. It's everything you would need to survive, and that's exactly what people in need are looking for right now. And so the next stage is how to distribute this to people. Very complicated, very difficult, but what we're seeing now is the willingness is there. And in fact, this place is now saying, okay, please, no more donations. Now we need to give out these supplies to people who need them. A lot to do, and there's a lot of suffering, but it's the thanks to local people like these volunteers helping behind me that people are actually not starving and and hopefully receiving what they need in this terrible tragedy that they're facing right now.
Well, Damien, Angela Merkel described this as a catastrophe. And when we see the images behind you of people rallying together, it's certainly what the president of the country was saying a little bit earlier on, just up the road in Erftstadt here, that people will not be forgotten. So it's good to see that people are rallying together and offering something to those who have lost so much.
Yeah, that's right, because you're really seeing that. When you drive through the villages and the towns that have been devastated in this region, what you're noticing is the sense of community that comes through. So we were chatting to people yesterday who had, just a normal family home beside the river. Within seconds, they told us, the water had rushed through the whole home. The house was completely submerged, and they lost everything. So cars were swept away, furniture was destroyed, pianos, antique furniture, everything was just wreckage suddenly. These people have nothing left. And so that's why when we were chatting to people, or neighbours were coming by, friends were coming by, in order to just get the mud out of these houses, to make them livable. And now the next stage is, once these houses are livable again, then you have to give people supplies. But really, Kasia, this is just the very, very beginning, because the fact that people have lost everything, people have lost businesses, they've lost homes, they've lost all their possessions. We don't know how many people are in that position right now. There are lots of questions being asked in Germany right now, is what sort of help is going to go to those people? Germany has the money. The government has said it won't be for a lack of money that people will be helped. But insurances are not necessarily going to be paying out, because a lot of people were not insured against flood, because not everyone expected a flood of this proportion. So there's going to be lots of questions about how to get people back on their feet and how to get the needed resources to those people. That's the difficulty, particularly because at the moment we can't even find all the people who are missing.
Well, that's absolutely right. Damien, thank you so much for bringing us up to date. Damien McGuinness there with volunteers who are trying to support all of those people who have lost so much. And it's a painstaking operation. Just here, we've spent the day here, not far from, just on the outskirts of Erftstadt, where we're seeing trucks, huge trucks that have been toppled over as if they were toy cars. We've got the emergency services very much monitoring the situation here and trying to recover the cars that have been abandoned. It's a really difficult situation, and when it talks about the recovery of this, we're hearing about billions of euros needed to help and rebuild what has been an area that has been devastated. But it's not just Western Germany. Of course, we've seen the devastation that took place in the neighbouring Netherlands, also in Belgium as well. The city of Liege very much affected, and my colleague Anna Holligan reports there for us.
This is the River Meuse, and if you look carefully here, you can see some of the debris that's being carried downstream, and the smell of oil, the stench, is something that you can smell all around here. This is the Belgian city of Liège, and rescue workers were sent from Italy, France and Austria to help with the recovery effort here and the evacuations too. Most people are now returning to their homes, but the Belgian Prime Minister has declared the 20th of July a national day of mourning. At least 20 people have been killed here alone. They say they have never experienced catastrophic floods of this scale before. Now, across the border, not far from here, in the Netherlands, the emergency services are still trying to reconnect the power supplies. But there, so much of the country lies 10 metres below sea level. They have so much experience and talent in managing the rising tides. And what the last few days has demonstrated, this extreme rainfall, that even the most sophisticated technology will struggle under this kind of pressure. Experts have said it should be a wake-up call. Politicians across the continent have blamed climate change. But what so many people in this region, here in Liège, in Limburg, which has been classified as a disaster area, and beyond, what they want to know now, they want assurances from those politicians that something like this can never happen again.
So my colleague Anna Holligan there describing the devastation that the Belgium city of Liège has experienced. When we looked at the headlines this morning on the papers, the German papers here in the western part, and in particularly these two states that have been so hugely affected, are calling this the flood of death. And when we see emergency services and rescue teams accessing the vehicles that have just been toppled by the surge of water that happened here a few days ago, you can see just how devastating devastating this whole region has been, this impact, this surge of water, the floods that we saw a few days ago. And the recovery operation, as I say, is only just beginning. This will take months, if not years, to fully bring back what was as an affluent and a very organised part of the world.